Someone messed up. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. It's time for that weekly mod collection demo shop update, but first we need to start with an error in the US demo shop. Look at this, Gibson Les Paul Modern, graphite top, listed at $249 with free shipping. That would even be a good deal on one of the Epiphone ones. I suppose we should go through it and make sure it still has a headstock. Yeah, it does. It's not broken. It's not horribly disfigured. This was definitely a typo on someone's end, because all we've got here are a few finish pitting issues. No need to give you the 95% off discount on this thing. It was probably meant to be $2,249. So here's what I'm curious of. If you're the guy who bought this, please let me know. Are they actually honoring that sale, or are they going to cancel it on you and relist it? I think it'd be cool of Gibson to honor it, but at the same time, I totally understand how they would not want to lose over $1,000 on this, even if we go all the way down to production level costs. Or perhaps this was put there as a plant to get people talking about the demo shop again, and to have them tune in every week hoping that they'll be the next one that gets lucky. I feel like they would have advertised that a bit though, so I guess we'll just have to see. Does this keep happening or not? It would certainly be exciting. That was about the craziest news, but these shops were firing on all cylinders this week. And we'll kick things off in the mod collection with the Explorer Custom. They named it Ebony After 9. There's $6,500. What's unique about this thing? Well, at first it just kind of looks like a regular Explorer Custom until you zoom in. What on earth are they doing here? We've got three weird things sticking out of its body here that's being routed through some sort of an EDS 1275's tailpiece. And you've got a tension bar right here, a regular bridge, and then two humbuckers, so just our top three strings are like a 12-string guitar. They're octaved, and or just running the exact same string. The photos aren't the best for the bottom side of the tuners down here, but basically they would have had to have cut away a little bit of the instrument, and then they're using their gearless Steinberger tuners, which they do sell separately on their website now. So you could do fun modifications like this on your own if you want. So it's kind of like some of those high-end BC Rich guitars where they double certain notes to give you some interesting tones. I know on the one I documented, a lot of guys were saying, why would you want to double the bottom strings? That's what you're supposed to be having for soloing. You want the top ones. And usually they're 10 strings, not 9 strings like this one. And if we go to the headstock, it seems that you string them through the back side of it, and then they have some sort of a plate that allows you to go through that, which actually looks surprisingly well done from the back. Cool to see them bringing back the Schaller-style Gibson tuners, especially with the pearloid tips. Definitely one of the wackier ones we've seen out of the mod collection lately. But as your history lesson, this is not the first time that they've done this. It was about a year or so ago. They did the Sympathetic Gold Explorer. But next up we have a seemingly basic standard 50s in Heritage Cherry. What's this doing in the mod collection? It's just got uncovered black pickups. It's a full-on gloss finish. Or is it? When we got to the back, it almost looked more like a tribute. It's not maple, it's this way because they've only oil finished it. Makes me wonder if they're starting to consider doing that out of the factory, because there's some guys who prefer that feel, which could potentially help bring down the prices of some select models. At the time of recording though, doesn't seem to be too popular of an offering. But check out this flying V, Caffe Scuro. Looks like a blacked out V that has the white pick guard, but notice you got this big doofy thing over here. I was curious what that was on this one. And it's one of those old Steinberger rests, because some guys don't know that you're supposed to straddle the flying V. They think, how am I supposed to play this sitting down? You could technically use one of these things. That's what it's for. It's like a little built-in kickstand. But that's not even where the fun of this one ends. Look what they did. They messed with the contours of the body and really softened it there. They're really channeling the old late 80s V90 guitar in this one, as most flying Vs don't get comfort cuts. Next up is what is advertised as an SG Standard 61. I'm not quite sure why they called it that, because that's the 68 style guard. It doesn't have the 61 style vibrola on it, and it's an SG Custom. It's got the rosewood board with the pearloid inlays. But if you look at your serial number here, this is not custom shop. This is regular Gibson USA production, so you know what this was. It started life as one of these, the Captain Kirk Douglas signature, which are phenomenal guitars, by the way. But they gave it a new finish. It's a sparkly blue. They messed with our pickups. They got rid of the third one. We don't have the additional control right here. However, if you take the pickguard off, I'd be willing to bet that they are there because it's the only SG Custom that Gibson USA has made in recent years. And it was a complete refinish too. Seeing as regular ones sell for about that much on the used market, not too bad of a price. Especially when that neck is a custom bucker, cool. Next up we've got Regal Metallic Navy. A beautiful finish on a Les Paul Custom. Nice dark blue that has a metallic sheen. That is perfect. And the gold hardware complements it very well. Doesn't look like any fancy stingers or anything, but it was a complete gloss refinish. Definitely not surprised that one sold. But how do you guys feel about this 50s P90? They call it toasted root beer. It kind of almost gives off 34 burst vibes. I kind of like it. It's very dark. You got a mixture of pink and cream plastics going on. Headstock is relatively unchanged. But oh, very nice. They bursted the neck and the headstock. I didn't see that on launch day. I can't quite tell if they did it to the body or not. If they did, it's dark. Another one I can't tell what they did to it is Vintage Smoothburst. It's a Les Paul Jr. I mean, it nearly looks black in these photos, but these really hyper orange knobs bring out the orange in the fretboard. But it's this photo where you can kind of see what they were doing. It looks like a kind of molasses brownish red, but yet it still seems to be a teardrop shape, maybe. Kind of hard to appreciate from stock photos. Headstock is mostly unchanged except for the nut and our tuner tips. And lastly, a satin candy purple non-reverse Thunderbird base. This thing's pretty stellar. I like the fact that we still have the Thunderbird over here and it's done up in black so it's not too in your face. You got the see-through knobs from the modern series, and the back got the same treatment. Then going over to the EU mod collection, they had about 4 new offerings. Looks like this Les Paul Tribute got some sort of an orange finish with see-through pickup rings. You got your wooden knobs. They give it the old-timey logo. It didn't change too much on the back, but it still has the maple neck. They had an interesting Trad Pro 5, which is a Guitar Center exclusive. Their most unique feature is the fact that you have a mahogany top, but they didn't change too much about that. This Les Paul Classic is called Paving Sparkle. They played around with our plastics a little bit, gave it a concrete look, but ooh, black back. There's also an SG Modern that they swapped over to gold hardware and like obnoxiously ambered over knobs. I like those. And then lastly, a light walnut stain Les Paul Standard. That's kind of cool. It almost gives Koa-like vibes to it. Ooh, interesting. The return of Gibson original modified decals and the money green case. But now let's talk about the USA demo shop. We already talked about their accidental snafu, but otherwise we had a 61 SG reissue. However, they capped off our stop bar studs and gave it some sort of a trapeze tailpiece. You get some vintage vibes without having to worry about the tuning instability. And you get some interesting wood grain back there. They took a regular Les Paul Tribute and slapped a licensed Bigsby onto it. Otherwise, it doesn't look like they did too much. But I had to share this one. Look at that. Most of these SG Moderns don't really appeal to me. Their tops are rather uninspired or they're just not all that flamed. This one's got the wide flame on this side that I love. It's one of the nicer ones we've seen in a while. It's being offered at $2,000. Here was a hand select 50 standard. Got an interesting cross-hatched wood grain / flame thing going on. The other reason why I wanted to share this one is it seems a lot of guitars are ending up in the demo shop because of their nut. When I go through every one that's listed every week, I've been seeing this a lot more where they have to just completely replace the nut and that's why it's dropped in here. But now we get into the really heavy ones. So it's a single pickup VOS Ebony Custom. They only wanted $5,400. This was a great deal for one of these. You either get the one pickup fancy Les Pauls or you don't. I've documented enough of them that you can check them out for yourself. But this thing's great because they've aged it. Like it's just VOS, but I'm talking like they've really ambered the clear coat. You only have the humbucker. There's no pick guard on it. It's a wrap tail. Your headstock is all ambered as well. That's kind of hard to tell if this is like a 57 reissue or a 54, just all messed up. But looking at the ambered over lacquer, it doesn't look like a regular custom, even if it has the traditional serial style. This was a great deal for somebody who didn't mind a couple of dings. No doubt a custom order that had to get redone. Next, check out this Appetite Burst. I thought its flame pattern was rather unique. It kind of looks like a rib cage right here. And then the way this met and it was just dark, something about it looked interesting. Now we need to take a flight onto the other 2 demo shops, starting with the European side. They're running a promotion that says get a free Maestro pedal with every instrument purchased from the demo shop throughout August. So that either means those Maestro pedals aren't selling as well as they thought they would, or they just want to get them into the hands of more people. But either way, kind of a cool promotion. But we had a 64 Trini Lopez reissue, kind of a cool back. There was a Hummingbird Standard, a 335 figured in Blueberry Burst, one of those old style Flying V's in Antique Natural, then a 63 reissue SG Custom. Yep, unfortunately just not a lot of stuff from them this week. Then the UK demo shop has the exact same promotion, but again, they just didn't really have much. There was a couple of hand select top Les Pauls, which I'll let you take a look at here. Some of them definitely being better than others. The Standard T was kind of interesting, unique grain pattern. And then our last hand select top. Gibson Mod Collection Explorer Sympathetic Gold. All right, what on earth is happening here? Gibson has stolen the idea of the original headless SG and incorporated it on an Explorer? At first I thought, oh my goodness, it's a 12 string because we've got 6 tuners up here, we've got 6 tuners right here. But no, my friends, that is not what this is. The reason the finish is called Sympathetic Gold is because of this right here. So we have a 12 string tailpiece, but 6 of the strings go down here towards the body with those gearless Steinberger tuners because these are meant to pick up the sympathetic vibrations of like when you play a note right here, say like you play a G. If you've ever been in orchestra class, when you play a G on a big double bass, all the violins and other instruments in the room that have a string corresponding with that will start to also vibrate. So some musicians take advantage of that to get some unique harmonics and overtones. So that's exactly what Gibson's done here. We've got 6 strings down here that are custom tunable. They put a bass pickup on this thing for those. But then you've got your regular 6 strings right here that just tune up like normal. Now you'll also see that they did the Steinberger tuners up here as well. So say you purchased this and you don't care about sympathetic vibration guitars. You could technically modify this in some very interesting ways. The obvious one, you could convert this into a 12 string. Because you've got the tuners right here, you would just run them up through here, and what you would have to do is install a locking nut system, which would kind of make it a pain in the butt to tune, but you could technically get away with it because you're basically just like installing a stop bar tailpiece up here. But perhaps one of my favorite crazy ideas for this thing is if you got really, really long strings, you could string it up from here, go through this tailpiece, go all the way up here, and then end it off right here. Actually have 2 sets of tuners, but one's acting as like the stopping spot and one's acting as the beginning. But you could technically tune it from either direction. I think that'd be fun to play around with. You'd probably have to get some custom strings though, because that's a really long distance. That'd be cutting it for most string makers. But I know you're all dying to see the back. It's like the original headless SG. Nobody ever saw the back, so nobody knew how he did it until I hunted down that guitar and documented it for the world. But it was a very similar process. They just routed some of the body out right here, and then they put all the tuners in here. That's what's great about those gearless Steinbergers, is you can do things like that with them. But the back was done up in this gold finish. But what on earth is going on here? Our serial number, if you read it, dates to 2021, but there's no 420th day of the year. And then initial batch production 666. I think somebody at Gibson was having a little bit too much fun with their number selections here, because the only other way that we know how to read a Gibson serial number is the year translation, and it's not 2024 yet. And they also gave it a matching headstock. All right, troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed this week's recap. Hopefully somebody got a screaming deal on a Les Paul Modern. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day. And you might even enjoy this next one.